You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today. We have another special guest from Central California. We have Tricia Gardella. She's better known as the National Park Gramma, but she is going to be our best friend on the show today, asking her all about her amazing career. Someone has a lot of material out. I mean, you can enjoy a lot of her published books, but after raising her family and cut to the chase, she has ran several businesses that were successful. She went to earn her BA in ancient history and classical archaeology. Also, remarkable age of 75. She don't even look 75, right? First and foremost, I want to just welcome you to the show because not only you're an award-winning children's book author who has like 10 books plus. I mean, you can tell us, spill the beans, how much was the total amount of books you published. But I just want to welcome you to the show. First of all, it's happy Friday, almost the weekend. How you doing?
Thank you. I now have 30 books, but our 11th in a series that we did on Mouse about traveling to national parks comes out on the 26th. So I guess it'll be 31.
Well, that's awesome. You have a website that people can go to. It's TriciaGardella.com. I'll spell it out for you. That's TriciaGardella.com. My first question is kind of take us back to just what got you into, national parks and getting that nickname, being known as National Park Gramma.
That was something I fell into. That was never intentional. What happened is that I began writing. I've always loved words and books. I read as a little young child and always was reading. And then when I turned 40, I decided it was time to do what I'd wanted to do, and that was to try to write. And when I wrote, everything I wrote was for like a 7-year-old. So that's how I discovered that my passion was children's books for 7-year-olds, especially picture books. I really like picture books. So then I took a 20-year sabbatical because my husband bought a building and I was just going to set it up and then keep writing. And that was wrong. All my energy and creativity went into this store, and it was really fun. And I did it for 16 years, and then I'd had enough ice cream. So I moved on. And then COVID hit. And I thought, what am I going to do now? I hadn't written for a long time, and I discovered there was a thing called indie, which is independent publishing, self-publishing or something like that. And when I was writing, that was not something that you wanted to admit you did. But it's a new age now, and I'm really enjoying it. I love the control. I love the choice of being able to choose the illustrator. So now I'm going to tell you how Mouse happened. And that came because I'd written a book called Absurd Said Bird. And it was about a mouse who was planning on going to the moon, and he'd asked all of the farm animals to help him build an airplane so he could go to the moon. And of course, birds saying absurd every time they do anything. So when he crashes, Bird picks him up, and what happened was the minute I saw Mouse, I thought, I've got to write more about him. I just fell in love with him. And I didn't know what I was going to do. Mouse and I sort of discussed it for a couple weeks, and I'd always loved national parks. I live very close to Yosemite, which is a gorgeous national park, and we decided that he was going to visit national parks. And so it really transitioned well. This book 2, he learns that he can find out a lot of information in a library. He's a little mouse, so he's able to watch what's going on. And he learns that he can teleport from using a keyboard. And that's how that started. And now we're publishing our 11th book. Yeah, and we love it. And the illustrator loves him as much as I do. So it's really perfect.
When you think about the birth of the series that sparked the Mouse Traveler series, I mean, seems like a fun experience. And when you think about the creative process, what does that typically look like for you, especially when you work with illustrators to help formulate that, the branding, if you will, of the character?
Well, in most cases, I come up with an idea and the idea grabs me from where people say, well, where do you get ideas? Where don't you get ideas? You know, I have to cut back on them because there's so many of them that I think would be fun. But I'm sorry, I think I lost my train of thought. Where did you want me to go?
Oh, no. I was saying, what's the process like, your creative process when you're...
Oh, the creative process.
Yeah.
In the case of Mouse, which is really, this has never happened to me before, Mouse basically writes the story. I just have to go along with him and clean it up. And what I love about illustrators, I've been really, really lucky with the illustrators I have. In fact, most of them I've done at least 3 books with that I have chosen. And for me, I believe there would be no picture book without an illustrator. And we know that, you know, I don't tell them what I see. I want them to see it in my words. And a lot of times they see it better than I did.
Once again, listening to Refocusing Radio and watching us online, talking to our special guest, Tricia. You can go to the website, triciagardella.com. That will be in our notes, show notes, so you can go directly on that link. And when you think about the impact this has on young minds, being able to give them not just entertaining, right, books, but also giving them something that will be valuable and impact them in a positive way. What has been your feedback so far with your previous publishing?
Well, I've always written, what do they call it? Informational fiction. In other words, I like putting something in it that they will pick up. But I think that the number one thing is that a book has to be fun. It can't be lecturing. It has to be fun and grab the kid. And the first book I ever wrote was called Just Like My Dad. And it was written before I had any grandkids or anything like that. And it was about a little boy who goes out and works with his dad. We're ranchers. And this little boy goes out and works and does all the jobs and everything. And when he comes home that night, he and his dad he was going to bed and everything. And his dad told him that he was just like his grandpa. And he was thrilled that one day he was going to be a great cowhand, just like his dad. You know, that's what he says. When I got into the series, it's like a mission. I like to put information in there. I like to put what animals they might find, and but it just comes in natural. I don't like to overdo any of it, but in the back of each one of them, there are questions like, in what state do you find this national park? And they're basically the same thing. The other thing is that we go into what mice can be found at a national park, because when Mouse started, he wanted to find cousins. And one of the fun things is when he goes to Carlsbad Caverns, he goes because he thinks he could be related to the bats because he looks like them. And one of the things that's the most fun about that is mice are more related to people than they are to bats. You know, more connected. So I think those kinds of things are fun. And my main mission as National Park Gramma is to get our youngest readers interested and learning why it's important to protect and preserve our parks. And I just believe in parks. We need to see somewhere what our earth has been like, and let's keep them that way. And, you know, they protect a lot of animals.
And in expanding on that importance of protecting national parks, you also want them to respect nature as well. So when they close the book, what's one thing that you're hoping that the young people will be able to, children I should say, will be able to appreciate from the conversation, the book, and educating them about these parks?
I just think that we have to grab them in a way that, they want to know about something. I think that I'm talking about the youngest readers here, kindergarten to third and fourth grade. Those are pretty easy to get attention from at this point. And to me, we know that it takes a really good foundation to build anything. And I feel the same way about picture books. Picture books are the most expensive book to produce, but probably the less appreciated. And I just, I love them.
When you think about just what it means to spark someone's interest, especially at that young age, having the ability to make them be hungry to learn more and see more. I mean, to your point, they're young minds, so they're probably going to be thinking about snacks and stuff later. But just having that impact, though, is a positive one.
You might catch two. If you catch two in a lot of classrooms, that's a good thing. But I didn't finish my story about just like my dad, was that pretty soon I had grandchildren. And my greatest joy, much better than money, was that almost every one of my 7 grandkids, that was their favorite book when they were about 2 years old. So it's like, that told me that I could write things that did catch kids' attention. They wanted the book read every night like kids do, but they wanted my book and they didn't know it was my book because they weren't old enough to understand that. And that probably was one of the high points of my career.
And being able to take them, through these adventures, making them fun, helping them use their imagination, right?
Right.
When you think about your job as the writer, the one in charge to publish this, do you ever find yourself thinking too long about how you want things to look presentation-wise, or you just kind of trust the process and say, you know what, this is the purpose of it, this is something else?
I trust the process. And, if I see something, there are very few times that I will comment on something, but there are times I see something and I think that if it was tweaked a little bit, and everybody's agreed with me to this point, we've had this is the way it needs to be, and this is the way I get along with my illustrators. I'm very happy with them.
When you think about going back to school yourself, after you had successful businesses and after you raised your own family, what made you say, you know what, I'm not done yet. Let me go back. And
I didn't ever feel done. I went, when I went to college in the first place, I wanted to go into archaeology. And, but for some reason, my husband kept coming and bothering me. So instead I got married. and I wouldn't change anything that happened, but I think that in a lot of ways it was meant to be, because I can't believe how archaeology has changed from when I first went to school. We can measure so much and know so much more and hypothesize on things that make sense. And it's I just like it. And I didn't plan on doing anything with it. I just wanted to finish it. I want to finish now.
What do you want to share with maybe other authors out there who feel like, you know what, I want to get more people to check out my work. I mean, you're doing a great job. You're pushing your books on different platforms. You seem to know, hey, there's ways that you can do self-promotion and get the job done. Yeah. What would you say to other authors out there who have not maybe...
Good luck. Good luck. When I was publishing, I was traditionally published back in the 90s. And when I was doing that, there weren't as many books coming out. And, you competed with books that were older ones like Make Way for Ducklings or some. Those were your main competitions because they would publish those before they'd publish yours because they knew they were going to sell. In this day and age, there's something like over 4,000 books a day being published. That's not all children's books. To be fair, that's not all children's books. But you are against that. But you have to do this. You can't just go, well, I'm going to write a book and everybody's going to love it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, it's a true story. Well, who cares if it's a true story if it doesn't grab you in a way? And you have to write from the gut. To me, one of my favorite parts is rewriting. I like to get everything down and then go back, and I will do it till the minute it goes out the door. I have to make myself stop sometimes because I'll just tweak a word or, you don't always get it right. I know some of my books originally, when I got into this, they were for my grandkids and my great-grandkids. I have 7 of each. And that was my main intention. Well, they all have their book now. So now I'm playing in other corners because I like what I'm doing. And at this age, you might as well have something that you like when you're doing it.
You have seen your books become favorites among parents, teachers, librarians, and obviously kids. If you had a teaching moment on how a person, an individual can create a positive impact on other people's lives, sharing their own gifts and talents, knowing your own experience or what's been successful with you with writing and publishing, what would you say to young minds of people to do the same with their gifts and talent?
Well, one thing I would suggest is they read what works. You can go in and find out what are the top sellers and then ask yourself why. But don't try to do that. Try to make yours, whatever your idea is, because it doesn't matter so much what the subject is. It's how you produce it, how you work it. And anyway, that's what I think. The other thing is it takes time. When I got into this, I thought, oh, well, I've got all this control and everything. Basically, self-publishing is like taking a glass of water and throwing it in the ocean.
It's already wet.
Yeah. And if you don't do something to make those little particles of water different than everybody else's, no one's going to see them.
It's like trying to paint a dark room black. It's already dark.
Right. And I've had a lot of businesses, and all of them take a minimum of 5 years. I always think I can do it faster. But when I see that it's finally becoming successful, it's been at least 5 years. So, this time I thought the same thing. Well, I'm 4 years now. I'm hoping next year people they really need to see Mouse. It belongs in the classroom.
When you think about your experience being able to put it out there and get it published and get it marketed and creating that buzz, getting people excited, at least gain positive interest into wanting to check it out and support you. Were there times you felt like, man, this is more than what I thought? I thought I was just going to publish it and it just take off.
No, because I like a challenge. But next year, if I am still, I'm wondering, there's 63 national parks. I think that we just got a new one, which is the first city, I think, that is a national park. But anyway, so there's 60 something. There's no way I'm going to write about all of those in my lifetime. So I have to be selective. And I'm also wondering, most children's series do not have a dozen books in them. And we have our 12th one coming out in National Park Week in August. And I'm really excited about that because it's based on the 12 days of Christmas. So I put 12 different parks in this one book because I knew that I wasn't going to get to mention everything that I wanted to. So that's been a fun challenge, and to see if, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But I like that. I like seeing if I can do it. I think that's the biggest thing, because a lot of times in my lifetime, I've tried something, and as soon as I figured out I could do it, I was interested in something else. Writing, you never get that good. There's always something else you can improve or another direction you can go, and that's what I like about it.
Once again, listen on Refocusing Radio, watching us online, talking to our special guest today, Tricia Gardella. Go to her website, it's in our show notes, but go to triciagardella.com. Check out everything that she's doing. Like I said, she has a lot of material, a lot of options that you can buffet line if you want and check out what you want at the time. But for our viewers and our listeners, if you had a call to action, you already kind of gave some previews of some things you're working on, but anything that we haven't discussed so far that you maybe do book signings, or I'm sure you probably don't do book signings for kids, but I'm just saying, are there any book events that you attend?
Sure you do.
People might be able to see?
I do them at Barnes & Noble's quite often. So, yes, we do book signings. We do events. I don't do as much anymore because of my age and because of some medical things that I'm dealing with. But, there are other avenues we can take. And that's what's fun about this is you got to figure it out. And maybe you can and maybe you can't. And so I'm going to keep trying.
One more question I'm going to have for you before we wrap up for today is, will we see National Park Gramma as a character in a book one day?
I don't know. I don't know if you'll see her in a book. I do. I have two versions of her, the real live one, and then I have my illustrator came up with some like cartoony things that I really love, and then a gal dubbed it in. So she's giving little lectures in reels, and so we're going to be using those this year, and it's just fun. All the stuff that you can do, but it costs, and a lot of people can't afford to do that. So. Yeah. Anyway,
I think, it doesn't matter about the whole thing, but as an outsider, that would probably be pretty cool if you had a book with you as a character. That would be kind of...
Maybe I'll have to do that. I don't know. Well, I guess she can be there because he does. See, now you did it. He gave me an idea, and I'm going to be thinking about it for a while because there are always people there. I use rangers a lot to give information. They're talking to the tour, and Mouse hears them. Mouse is always involved with it, but sure, National Park Gramma could be doing something, and he's excited that there's somebody protecting it. That's a good idea.
That's why we are here. We are here to help, facilitate some ideas. And I think
what I need is another idea.
I think it'll be awesome. I think they want to see National Park Gramma one day. I think that'll be a hit seller right there. I'm just saying.
Well, we already have her, and Ginger Nelson did a great job with her. So we will do that.
Well, okay. There you go. If you listen now, tune in to the show I Am Refocused Radio, watching us online, listening to us where you are grabbing the podcast radio, talking to our special guest for today, Tricia Gardella. go to her website. It'll be in our show notes. It's triciagardella.com. Once again, you can get all of her books there and check out all the updates that she may have in the future. And maybe possibility you might have a character of National Park Gramma one day. If not, no worries. But if we do, hey, might have to have you back on the show and talk about that one. But
all right.
Last words for you. What we want to say to anybody out there who's interested in checking out your books.
You can get them at Amazon. You can get them at my website. I have a store, and I don't know. And I have sets now. I knitted a bunch of blankets this year. So I have a set with a blanket and that goes with the book and a plushie, so they can look at that too. But I just got on a binge and had a lot of blankets.
There you go. Nothing beats that. So once again, I want to say to you, Tricia, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.